Good morning. This is your Math Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and today we're going to solve multi-step equations. So, in our previous, we eliminated coefficients and moved constants away when we did two-step equations. Then yesterday we moved variables across the equal sign. Today we're going to do combining like terms, and we're going to do all of this using inverse operations. So once again, doing what we've done before. All right. So. Um, we're going to start off with a warm up and a review of what we were doing yesterday, where we moved variables, move constants, and eliminate coefficients. So here we go. First off, we're going to divide it. And as we said yesterday, if we have variables on both sides, we're going to end up putting all our variables here, and we're going to rewrite and put a number sign there or a hashtag for all of our numbers going on this side. So we want all constants on this side. It's not, you can solve it either way, truthfully, but it will help you with inequalities if you will do this. So the very first thing we're going to do is move variables. Well, the 2k is on the side that I want it to be, but the 3k is not. So we'd move it by doing opposite operation or inverse operation. So this is minus 3k. This goes away because, and when I say it goes away, 3k and 3 minus 3 is 0. So it becomes 0 and nothing is nothing. So why write nothing? It's not worth my time. So we have negative 2k and negative 3. If the signs are the same, add the two numbers and keep the sign. So addition and subtraction, if the numbers are the same, add the two numbers and keep the sign. So negative 5k plus 2 equals, oops, negative 13. Wrote that 2 in the wrong spot. Apologize for that. So the next thing is we need to move constants. Well, I have two constants. I have a positive 2 and a negative 13. Well, I want them away from the variable because remember the goal is to isolate the variable. If I'm trying to isolate the variable, then I need to move that plus 2 to the other side. Well, once again, we're going to use opposite operations. So the opposite of a plus 2 is a minus 2, and that crosses out. So now we have negative 5k equals, because, and the reason this crosses out is because it becomes 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. Once again, 0 is nothing. Why write nothing? Not worth my time. So here we have two numbers, 13 and 2. They have the same sign, so we're going to add the numbers. And we keep the signs. If the signs are the same and you're adding and subtracting, keep the signs. The last step is to eliminate coefficients. We eliminate coefficients by multiplying or dividing by doing the opposite. In this case, they're side by side, so they're being multiplied. The opposite of multiplying is division. So we're just drawing a little fraction line for division, and we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. This becomes a 1k, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. Please remember, a negative divided by a negative and a negative is a positive, so this is a positive 3. So 1k equals positive 3, and 1 times anything is just itself, so we can write k equals 3 as our final answer. All right. Once again, same thing. Variables on both sides, so we want to put the variables on the left and all the numbers on the right. Starting off by moving variables. So this 3x needs to move across the equal signs. Well, technically this is a plus 3x. So how do I do the opposite of a plus 3x? Well, yes, you're correct. I do a minus 3x. So the 3x and the 3x, they become 0. And I don't need to write nothing down because nothing is nothing. So why write nothing? So 5x minus 3x is 2x plus 20 equals negative 12. The next thing I need to do is identify my constants. My constants are 20 and 12. So I need to move the 20 because I want to isolate the variable. I want the variable by itself. And to do that, I need to move this 20 to the other side. And remember, what we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So the opposite of plus 20 is minus 20, because anytime you're crossing the equal sign, if you cross the equal sign, you must do the opposite operation of what they show. You get to be a rebel and do the opposite. So this goes away. So 2x equals negative 32. So in this case, we're subtracting. Signs are the same, so keep the numbers together. So 20 plus 12. So if the signs are the same, you add the numbers. So 12 plus 20, that gave me 32, and then you keep the sign. All right, we have a coefficient. We need to get rid of it. So I'm going to divide by 2. I get 1x equals negative 16. And I know it's negative because when you're multiplying and dividing, you can use the triangle. And here I have a negative 32 and a positive 2. A negative and a positive leaves me with a negative. So my answer is x equals negative 16. And we can get rid of that 1 because 1 times anything is self. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times x is x. So we can just write x. All right. Going back to our vocabulary. I think this may be the last day we cover the vocabulary, but here we go. A variable is a letter that represents an unknown value or number. And I'm just going to use a hashtag instead of writing the word number out. Constant is a variable is a value. A constant is a value that does not change, and it's usually separated by a plus or minus. Please note, a constant is not next to a letter. All right, but a coefficient is a number that is next to a variable, right? That is next to a letter, and coefficients multiply the variable. All right. So 6y plus 6y plus 18 equals 54 plus 3y. So let's do this as practice before we move on to today's lesson. So we want variables on this side and numbers on this side. Well, we start off by moving the variables to the left-hand side. So the opposite of plus 3y is minus 3y. This becomes 0, so we don't need to write that down. And 6y minus 3y is just 3y plus 18 equals 54. Okay, I have a next thing I need to do is move my constants, marking them with a star. I do that by opposite operation. I want the y by itself, so I need to move the 18 because the goal is to get the variable by itself. So the opposite of a plus 18 is a minus 18. So I end up with 3y equals 36. And finally, this is a coefficient. It's being multiplied, so we undo multiplication by division. And I kind of ran out of room. And this becomes 1y equals 12. And 1 times anything is self, so my final answer is y equals 12. Okay, over here we have exactly the same thing, except instead of a plus 3y, we have a minus 3y. So I want the variables on the left, numbers on the right. The opposite of minus 3y is plus 3y. Negative 3 and positive 3, they become 0. So 6y plus 3y is 9y. 9y plus 18 equals 54. All right, I need to move the 18 across. Why? Because I need to move my constants, and the goal is to isolate the variable, to get the variable by itself. Once all the variables together, we want to isolate them. So I need to move this plus 18. To do that, I do a minus 18. So I end up with 9y equals 36. And my coefficient of 9 is being multiplied by y. So to undo multiplication, I have to do division. This becomes 1y, and 36 divided by 9 is 4. 1 times anything is itself, so my final answer is y equals 4. So it says, what was the first thing we did? Oh, we moved a negative 3y and a 3y. We moved variables across the equal sign. Let's see if I can find one of my checklists real quickly. So move variables to one side. All right. The next thing we do, well, let's look at the checklist. What was the checklist? Move constants. How did we move constants? Oop. Away from the variable. And I'm going to write letter, even though it's variable, just because letter is shorter. And what did you do? The last thing, we eliminated the coefficients by, in this case, we use division every single time. All right. Sometimes we can do multiplication, but this time we eliminated the coefficients by division. If you leave out the by division, I'm okay with that. All right, continuing on, this is where we're going to add something a little bit new today. I'll say that. There we go. So let's look at these two equations. What's the difference between problem 1 and problem 2? Well, here I have 6y plus 18. Well, I have a 6y plus 18. Here I have a 54 minus 3y. Well, you know what I notice? Here I have a 4y, and I can combine that with 6y, and here I have a negative 6, and I can combine that with 54. So the difference between problem 1 and problem 2 is that we have, is that, you know what, I should say problem 2 has like terms. So the difference is problem 2 has like terms. So let's look at our checklist because it's the same checklist we've always had. We started off by two-step equations where we moved the constants and eliminated coefficients. Then yesterday, we moved variables. Well, today, we're going to add combining like terms. All right, and tomorrow we'll add distributive property. We'll always go in this order. Distributive properties, eliminate parentheses. We're not going to do that today. We'll do that tomorrow. So moving on, let's take a look at our question. So here's that problem. 6y plus 18 minus 4y. Copied it right here, and here's the way you solve it. Once again, draw a line straight through. And since we have variables on both sides, we always want variables in this class on the left, although it's not required. It's what I want you to do because I think it'll help you out in the long run. So step 2, because we're not doing distributive property, our first step today is to combine like terms. So we're going to combine the 6y with the 4y. Well, 6y minus 4y gives me 2y. So those are combined. And then we'll just copy the 18 down. And over here, I can combine the 54 and the 6. 54 and the minus 6. 54 minus 6 is 48. So 48 minus 3y. Combine. So our first step, we combine like terms. And by following the sign. Now that's different than what we've done before. Everything else was do the opposite, do the opposite, do the opposite. This time we have to follow the sign. What's the difference? If you stay on the same side of the equal sign, you follow the sign. If you cross the equal sign, you can't. So if I'm moving back and forth across, move variables across, move constants across, eliminate coefficients across. Those we do the opposite, but if it's on the same side, we have to follow the sign. So we follow the sign, okay? And now we've taken care of this first step. We've combined the like terms. Next thing, oh, I have variables on both sides. So I want the variables on the left-hand side, so I need to move this 3y. So move the negative 3y by doing a positive 3y. So this becomes 5y plus 18 equals 48. The next thing we need to do is move constants. So I need to move this plus 18 by doing a minus 18. So what do we move? Oh, I should have written that down already. We move the plus 18 by minusing 18. And that ends up giving me 5y equals 30. And then we eliminate the coefficient. So we're going to eliminate this 5. Well, this is, since it's side by side, it's being multiplied. So I have to undo multiplication by division. So this is by dividing by 5. So y equals 6. 1y equals 6. And we just like to write it as y equals 6 because 5 divided by 5 is 1. All right, one more example. So we combine. We know we're going to be combining. So when we're combining like terms. We always follow the sign by follow the sign. So that part's easy. So what are my like terms? Well, I can combine the 8 with the 12, and I can combine the 6 with the 2. All right, so let's do that. 8 plus 12 is 20. So 20 plus 4y. 6 and 2 is 8. All right. So going back to the checklist, we combine like terms. Next thing we need to do is move variables. So I need to move the variables to the left-hand side. So this is a plus 8y. So I need to move the plus 8y. How do I do it? By doing a minus 8y. So I have 20 minus 4y equals 60. The next thing I need to do is move my constant. So what are my constants? Well, 20 is a constant and 60 is a constant. Why are they a constant? We know they're a constant because they're not next to a variable. They're a number not next to a variable. So I want all the numbers on the right-hand side. So how do I move this 20? Well, first off, I need to know that it's a plus 20. So the opposite of plus 20, because that's what my checklist says, is do the opposite. The opposite of a plus 20 is a minus 20. So I have negative 4y equals 40. And the very last thing I need to do is eliminate the negative 4. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, it's side by side, which means it's being multiplied, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we're going to have to divide by a negative 4. Well, this is easy. That just becomes 1y. And 40 divided by 4 is 10. And if I use the triangle, I have a positive and a negative, which means my answer is negative. So my answer is y equals negative 10. All right. This is the part one of today's lesson. Part two is going to be on fractions. I'm going to do that on a separate video. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the fraction video. Bye.